Okay, just wanted to quickly make this video before I get out of here. It is the first week of February. Austin just had another freeze event, and so I came back to get started on this project over here. Finally. So I just had to swap out a battery pack. That one just quickly died. So anyways, it's the first week of February. I think it's the I don't know, it's either the 5th or the 6th, and basically I started digging these footers for this pergola install. And so I got a couple of these that have this base rock I kind of dug down just to kind of get some of the clay out. And so all these have this little bit of base rock down there. I will, once this is all built, reinforce, especially on this side, with concrete to basically anchor them. Because of the elevation difference, and because I only have 6 of these 8-footers, and I don't want to cut too much of it off, I didn't want to dig too deep on that end and have this be too short when it's all said and done. So these, as you can see, I had to use my SDS drill to drill out those cores, and so I'll be able to get some wedge anchors in here to secure, and I have these standoff 4x4 brackets that will attach the 4x4 posts. So pretty much that's where I'm going to leave things off here, and then next week I will be back to try to see how fast I can make this happen. I think this will be a little bit more of an impromptu build. I'm just going to build as I go, and so I'm probably more than likely just going to get the posts up, and then with the level, make sure everything's square, and then cut off any excess, and so it'll level this way and it'll level that way. And from there, if I can do that, then I'd still have plenty of material here to connect everything. I might have to get some boards to reinforce what was lost. Other things that are new is that a lot of the stuff died with some of the freezes Texas has had, so a lot of those plants died. And then on this side, I was able to reuse a lot of that foliage material that came from inside and go around the greenhouses on both sides. I've done a little bit of excavation work on this. I don't know if I've showed that, just digging out that channel for drainage and pulling some of this rock for those bases over there. But you can see just how deep that rock is, how deep it had to be to level all this stuff out. So I've got a ton of crushed rock here, so I can pull from it what I needed. Pretty nice sunset happening going on, and here's the other foliage wall. The other thing I ended up installing was this terrace. So these are all the scraps I use for milling the covered bar, and I basically used all the scraps, cut them down to size, and was able to install that terrace a couple days ago. Hopefully you get something growing there, helps to cover up some of this greenhouse. I might actually decide to install another section here on this side, but we'll kind of have to wait and see, depending on how much time I have and how much material I have left over. Let's see, besides that, this whole thing is still all done, and I'm still kind of going back and forth and to figure out if I want to actually install a stair or not. So I will cross that path if I have enough time to actually do it. Just frame in a quick little set of stringers right there to have at least one step going up, depending on how much time I got. And so it's just starting to get dark, so I'm going to kind of wrap things up, and I will be back next week to hopefully make some progress on this guy. And if I can do that, then we will be on our way to finishing and wrapping up this space as it is. So pretty good sunset for the books. And I'm just gonna wrap things up here myself, and then get back on the road and head south. Alright, so it is Monday, February 6th. I'm back here on site, and this isn't quite day one, but it is going to be the first day I try to get this, start to get this pergola over here up. Everything's still here the way I left it all just a couple days ago. And so, pretty much what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to get my brackets installed on these bases with my wedge anchors, and kind of go from there. So I think I'm going to stand some of these up and temporarily brace them, and from there I'm going to use a string line and level to see where everything's at. And once I get a sense of if with these 8-foot 4x4s will work out, then I will go ahead and kind of figure out the plan going forward. You know, use a string line level to get everything where it needs to be cut. The excess off of the 4x4s, obviously I'll need to cut more on this side probably, because that side's a little bit lower. And from there I will kind of figure out the framing method I'm going to do. I would rather kind of know that ahead of time, but of course, you know, you can either kind of level everything from the starting, which is definitely a much better thing, but it definitely takes more time. If you're going trying to go a little bit faster, you get everything as close as you can get it, and then if you got enough space, extra height or length in your boards, and you know that you can cut them back. So that's kind of the plan right now. I might have to go get some additional lumber, because I've got this older stuff which will do fine, but for the lengths that I need, I might need some more stuff. So so this is definitely a little bit of a impromptu build, just, you know, with my experience working on that one, working on some of the other ones, and just building in general. I'm just going to go and kind of work as I go and figure this out. So I don't really know what the timeline is going to be. It's one thing, I guess, with building, you just have to kind of wait and see, and how fast things will go or how slow things will go. So I'm going to get my supplies, get my tools, set things up, and start this almost final build. recording? Yes, it is. Okay, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna make this video at the end of the day. Sun is starting to go down. It's probably close to, if not pretty close, pretty much 6 o'clock. And so yeah, so one of the things that obviously when you start building something that you want to be square and level, all that stuff, you find out when other things aren't quite in line. And I figured out pretty quickly that because I started pulling a layout off of the concrete, because I figured that's going to be the straightest line. You know, this is all poured decades ago, so I'm pretty sure they, you know, it's probably going to be pretty square with whatever they, you know, whatever the layout was. So I started pulling layout off of that, and obviously everything else, you know, the rock, it was just kind of laid down, eyeballed. So there was never any, you know, like exact measurement to follow. So it varies. And so basically now what I realized was these beds are, you know, if you kind of just look down the line, they look pretty much in line. But then if you're pulling it off of this layout from the concrete, basically, you know that they're not exactly squared up with this concrete edge. So basically what that means is, because I'm pulling off of this concrete edge so that this is more uniform to this edge and parallel, as much in parallel with, not exactly parallel but close enough with the greenhouse. You know, obviously in order for that to look square, it means that I had to shift everything over, you know, had to plant a string line, get that squared with this. And then, so obviously this first post is a lot further away from this planter bed than the one all the way down there. And obviously that complicates things just a little bit as far as an easy build. So what that's going to mean is that I have to go with a little bit higher or longer material just to offset the length that, because on this one I can't really, that's about as close as I want this bed. And even from like this to, you know, where I just put that down, that's more than 8 feet. So all of my timber has to be 10, 12 feet just to kind of offset that length, in order to also have a little bit of an overhang on either side. So what that means on this side, and this side is already, you know, because we also have an elevation change, so this side is also lower than that side. So there's going to be a few things that I still have to kind of figure out. But what that means as far as this part, I don't necessarily know how easy it's going to be to try to drag these planters up so that they're square, or, you know, all plumb square, whatever, with the concrete footer and the pergola, just so that I'm not going to have a varied length of the overhead connections. So this is probably as far as I would want this box, but the other boxes I'm going to have to either take some dirt out and shift them that way so they're right in line where I need them to be, just so that on this side I'm going to have to dig these footers this way a little bit more, you know, or at least have a 10 or 12 foot board going across the span. But I need these to be in line, not based off of the planter, but based off of that concrete line. So, you know, I either need to pull layout all the way from there. I still need to move these planters up so they're in line. It's going to look better anyways, but that is just one thing about building. And you know, obviously this is going back on some of my previous work, and obviously I didn't know I was going to be building something that I needed to be square and level and all that. So, you know, obviously if I knew that, I would have just made sure these were really, really in line, and I probably would have done way more prep work, but I didn't think it was worth to have to do all that, dig out this, make them, you know, level to the ground, bring that up. That's way too much for this project here. But in order to make sure that this thing looks as good as I can get it, I will have to do some extra work, such as life, just to hopefully make it look as good as I can. You know, as close as I can get it. I know this doesn't need to be did on everywhere, and especially since I'm using materials that are really older, so you know, things are always going to be a little bit out. But that is as far as I could get to today. So I had to try to brace things just to somewhat get it in line. It's somewhat there. I might need to shift some things over. What I figured is I start doing other things, I'll be able to use leverage, like on the other side, to move this, make sure it's all level and plumb and square and all that. And same thing with everything else. And I'm still trying to figure out how. So this was, I had to sit down and just think about this, because I was trying to like think about the material that I have, the material I'll have to get, and trying not to just, you know, go crazy with the amount of lumber I need to finish this out. I wanted to really try to use the stuff I had here. And so I had to think about it. I was like, well, how am I, you know, where are my boards? My board's going this way. Is that going to be on top of the boards going that way, or vice versa? And so I basically just ended up going with this layout for now. And I think it's gonna work. You know, what's gonna have to happen is the boards that are gonna run that way, they're basically just gonna be sitting, I think, on either side. Should actually, you know, point the camera where I'm pointing, on the other side. So it's gonna be under, so, and then there'll be a little bit of an overhang there, I think. It would have, I feel like it would have been better if those boards would have been on top, like resting on this. And I still actually have to notch both sides. I just notched the middle. As you can see there, that's notched and sitting in there, and cut off the excess, at least of those two. But yeah, so then there'll be the ones that are a little bit lower that are running this way, you know, 2 per like column, and that'll just lock up this all, basically this side to that side, and it'll get everything all square and plumb. And then I think from there, what I'll be able to do is, and I still have to figure this out. So I'm either gonna run, you know, kind of the smaller boards that way, or I'm gonna run them that way. And maybe it's kind of a lattice pattern, I don't know. I'm gonna see what I have. I'm really running low on scraps, at least as far as, you know, the long boards are concerned. And most of the ones that I have left over are pretty much, you know, pretty bad, like either so twisted, so crowned or bowed out that it's just, there's really nothing I can do with what I got. You know, I don't have a planer or a joiner to kind of fix them, but I would have to take so much material off just to get them, you know, all square. But so this is what we got so far. A bit of a, and I got pulled off to help some other people for a couple hours, so I didn't get to do as much as I thought I was going to do, as it normally is the case. You know, as you're building, you always want to try to get stuff done, but there's always things that kind of come up. But so this is where I'm leaving it for today. It's Monday. I don't think I'm actually going to be back, maybe on Friday, probably not, you know, just because I have to work on some other things the next couple of days. So this is where I'm going to leave it. Things might change when I come back. I might actually do a little sketch up just to see where things are at and see if I can change the layout to make it make a little bit more sense. But until then, I will kind of think this over and kind of go from there.